What are your goals and expectations for the upcoming 2016 season?
Well, I think, with what we did last year and I think the program that we built over the last 5 years in the league, I think the expectation is to get to the conference tournament and then, make a run at it at the end and try to get to the postseason. I think that's got to be the standard from here on out. Moving forward is to try to get to NCAA play. That doesn't happen overnight, and certainly every time you have a new class come in or you lose guys, that your expectation and goals, I think, at least along the way, probably change those mini goals. But I think in the end, the goals remain the same, and it's try to get to the top of the mountain, get to the regional, have the opportunity to win a regional championship, and go back to Appleton. So, as I said in the press conference last year, our last press conference at the World Series, that's going to kind of be the bar now, and that's the expectation, is to try to find a way to get back there. I hope that we have a little bit of a blueprint, an idea of how to do it. And then, obviously, the difficult task is to find the players and the makeup and the mentality that can help you get there.
Talk a little bit about some of your key losses from your year.
Well, we lost so many seniors that played a huge part in our success. Ricky Castro, Ricky Brady, Zach Weiss, Lane Farmer, Nick Walker, and of course 2 huge guys on the mound, Bennett Schultz and Clayton Frymuth. All the seniors that we lost, Nick McElfish included, all played a huge role in our success. They all did a lot of great things along the way, and usually, there was a couple guys that were going good and maybe some weren't, but all of them, if you look back at their numbers and the stats, they all played a huge part in those 43 wins, and they're going to be greatly missed. So it's going to be difficult to replace those guys. They all had a lot of experience. Certainly going through the season that we had last year, you wish you had a couple more of those guys back in order to kind of, draw upon and reflect upon those experiences and the successes, and you hope they impart some of that knowledge and just kind of, how you went about your business in order to get there. But the reality is those guys are gone, and now we start trying to work towards replacing them, and obviously that already took place in the recruiting classes and the things like that in the fall practices. But those guys are going to be greatly and sorely missed, and appreciative of everything they brought to the program and the success that we have. But now they are the blueprint for the type of players that we need moving forward in order to get back to the highest level of postseason play.
Who are some of your key returners?
Well, I think obviously you got to start with Greg Schneider. He was a utility player, All-American, was just tremendous for us on the mound. I think by the time the season ended, he was pretty much our number one. He was a horse down the stretch for us, the conference tournament and on into the regional, and certainly the World Series. But I think, the things that he did from an offensive standpoint are going to be a huge part of replacing some of those guys that we lost. So certainly you start with him. When we bring back some really important guys on the pitching staff, Kyle McCormick, Nick Huff, some guys that were there in the postseason, Jake Stevens, just a few of those guys that are got to be relied upon in order to try to help us get where we need to go. And certainly, we did a pretty good job, I think, about bringing in some new guys, but Connor Cooper, Jeremy Ramalia, Jamal Wyndham, just to name a couple, and of course JT Tipton, who was a huge anchor of our infield last year. So going to be relying upon a lot of those guys that were there with us last year. Pat Sines as well did a really good job in the fall. So hopefully some of those guys with the experience are going to be huge for us moving forward, and you combine them with some of the newcomers that we have, and we definitely shouldn't leave out Zach Keeler, academic All-American. He kind of embodies everything that we've done, that we want to do from an academic standpoint, and then he's been, a three-year starter really for us at catcher and DH, so I don't want to leave him out as well. So he's going to be a huge part in the middle of our order. But yeah, those guys are going to be relied upon, and they are going to be the ones to set the tone and set the standard for what we're going to be in 2016.
Talk a little bit about some of your key newcomers then.
Yeah, as we stated, with those losses, you had a lot of guys that you need to replace. We've gone out and we've gotten 4 Division I transfers, including one of our infielders, KJ Hockaday, who's been drafted once already by the Orioles. We got a couple other, the other 3 guys are the Division I transfers or pitchers, which is going to be a huge shot in the arm to us with some of those arms that we lost. We went out and we brought in Cody Harmon, who's going to start behind the dish for us, along with Eddie Dukevich, another catcher who's going to help us out. We brought in a couple of new guys, certainly in the outfield and the infield, and we just, I think we got a good mix of new guys, returning guys, freshmen, transfers. And anytime you can, there's always, an inexact science to piecing that together when you get the personalities that come from different places and different backgrounds. Devin Bell's another guy who we brought in who was a junior college All-American, hit a bunch of home runs and went to the Junior College World Series last year at Frederick Community College. Brad Guerin, another guy from Cecil Community College who could do a lot of different things for us, play the outfield, play the infield. But again, you get these guys together and you try to piece it together and you see how kind of their backgrounds fit. And the one thing that I was pretty pleased with, there was a lot of similarities between this fall and last fall as far as the makeup and the meshing of our roster, the way guys seem to want to work together, play together, and certainly that camaraderie. It's hard to create or recreate. I'm not saying that we've recreated it, but we certainly have a lot of similarities between, the fall of 2014, which led us into the season of 2015. What I felt like is very similar. The fall of 2015 hopefully will lead us to some success with the new guys and the returning guys in the 2016 season.
What are your thoughts on your schedule, both out and in CAC play?
Well, I think I say this every year this time. I mean, anytime you're competing in the Capital Athletic Conference in baseball, you're competing in one of the top conferences in the country. Every year Salisbury's in the top 5 or top 10. CNU's been to the World Series a few times. Mary Washington really had a good year last year. York, I look to rebound. They're going to be a lot closer, I think, to what they were in 2014 than they were last year. They had some guys that were injured and things last year, so I look to them to rebound. Wesley's always strong. Marymount got us twice last year, and that's just naming 4 or 5 of the members of the league. So it's always tough. You've got to come to play every single time that you step on the field against those guys in the league, and I certainly think that this year will be no exception. And the different thing is we're going to have the target on our back, well on our front. And everybody's going to be gunning for us, and you hope you develop the program, and certainly over the years that people will respect and appreciate and know that they're going to have to play really hard to beat you. But I know that we're going to get everybody's best when it comes to CAC play. In regards to our non-conference schedule, it looks very similar that it does, had last year. We were going to go down to Roanoke to open the year. We run a couple tournaments in North Carolina with just some different schools, and I think that really challenges you early. You got to get out of the chute quick, and you got to go and you got to be in the gym for a couple weeks, and then you got to open up play. And you hope that those things and traveling the way that we do to open the season get you prepared for those juggernauts in our league, and hopefully you can get off on the right foot there. And you got Shenandoah and Marietta on the schedule as well, along with LaRoche, who really gave us fits last year, and their program is just been tremendous in the way it's come along. So we got a really strong non-conference schedule, and then I think that you combine that with the league play, and it prepares you for the postseason about as well as you possibly can if you can get there. And certainly, it takes a little bit of luck and a lot of skill and a lot of hard work and determination to kind of wade through everything that you go through, of course, in the course of our schedule. But in the end, we'll be prepared if we're able to make it to the postseason, and you try to develop a schedule around those conference opponents in order to be able to help you get there and be successful if you are fortunate to get there. And so hopefully our schedule will do that again for us this year, and we'll see where we stand in the end. But we're going to try to do our very best to accomplish our goals along the way, and we think that the schedule will certainly put us in position if we're able to get there to be successful in postseason play.